Might be loud. All right, so my name is Sam and I am the editor-in-chief of The Cadre, and we are hosting the debate this year. It's a little bit different because of the setup and everything's just a little weird, but that's okay. We're gonna make do with what we have. So I also have Yaosu with me, who also works with The Cadre, and he will be the time manager. So whenever we're doing this, you have a certain amount of time to respond, and we will give you a heads up. So Yaosu will give you a heads up whenever you're halfway through your time, so you can judge what you want to say, and then as well for the last 30 seconds. So to begin, you will get a 1-minute opening statement. You can say whatever you want about your mandate, about yourself, and then we have questions for you. With those questions, you will have 3 minutes to answer. You don't have to use the whole time, but it's available to you. And there will be questions from us as well as from students that have been submitted online. And if there's any questions that come through during the chat, we will include those as well. And then after you answer all your questions, there will be a 1-minute closing statement. So you can wrap everything up into a nice little closing. One position is contested. So for that position, if there's anything that you would like to respond to one of the other candidates, you can do so. You can have a rebuttal. Just because of the format, we just ask that you let us know, like, hey, I'm gonna have a rebuttal, so that we can figure out who's going to talk and when. Again, not mandatory. If they say something and you don't have a comment, that's fine too. And you can also address it in your own statement when we ask questions, because we'll go one person at a time. So if you want to address something in your own statement, that's okay as well. With that, does anyone have any questions before we begin? Everyone's good. All right. So we're changing up the order a little bit this year just because of the position that is contested. We're putting that one towards the end. So we're going to actually start with the president position. So we are going to be starting with Samantha McLean. So all of these questions will be for you. So feel free to unmute.
Hello.
So you have a 1-minute opening statement, and I will have Yaosu let you know when you hit the 30-second mark.
Awesome, sounds good. So yeah, my name is Samantha McLean. I go by Sam. My pronouns are she, her. I am a 4th-year business student at UPEI. I'm a born and raised Islander, and I chose to go to UPEI mostly just because it was close, but I'm really glad I made that choice. I've really found a home at UPEI, and I just really love the students and the environment and everything like that. I'm currently the president of Enactus UPEI. Great organization, really helped me step my foot into student leadership and things like that. I've also served 2 years on the Student Union Council. Last year I sat as the Senate rep, and this year I sit as the business rep. So that gave me a great understanding of how the student union works and gave me a real appreciation for it. I decided to put my foot forward for president because I really believe I have the qualifications and passion to do a really great job at that. And I'm just really excited about this campaign and to see how it goes.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So to begin the questions, we'll start with our questions that we will ask, and then we'll move into questions from the students.
Okay.
So to begin, and again, you have 3 minutes to answer this. So we will give you a heads up when you're about at a 1.5 minutes, and then again for the last 30 seconds. And if you don't get to the 3-minute mark, that's okay too, just however long you feel.
Okay.
In your opinion, what is the role of the president?
In my opinion, the role of the president is a good balance of leadership, but as well as support. The president kind of looks over everything that the student union does and the executives do, but they're also there kind of to take the fall back and try and help them achieve their goals. The president also is the face of the student union, so they are the ones that speak to the news and things like that. and kind of let that information out to the public. But yeah, leadership and support.
All right, and if there was one thing about UPEI that you had the power to change, what would it be and why?
That's an interesting question. If there was one thing I could change, would be the parking. But the parking is something I know that the student union has been trying to fix and the university has been trying to fix, and there's not exactly an easy answer to that. So I know that's something I won't be able to get around to for sure. But one thing that I might be able to help with is just kind of building more of a sense of community and empowerment within the university. Sometimes with a lot of domestic students at UPEI, it seems like there's kind of a broken community from those people and then the people that live on residence and things like that. So just building a really good community and lifting everyone up is something that I'd love to see focus on a little bit more as well.
So as president, you will be the face of the organization. Being the face means that you'll often be the spokesperson for the UPEI SU during both good and bad times. As president, how will you handle being a spokesperson for the UPEI SU when it comes to media relations?
Media relations. Oh, okay. I'll definitely handle it. I don't want to take this position and just speak on my behalf. I want to definitely listen to different voices, listen to the different executives, the different staff, take all those opinions, get a good grounded response from them, and speak on behalf of the greater student body and not just on behalf of myself. So just making sure that I have everyone's voices heard and everyone's opinions there, and taking that to the media and presenting myself as the greater whole of the university.
All right, and going into some of the questions from students, what plans do you have to support low-income students and international students?
That's a good question. I definitely didn't have that on my platform, but that's something that's super important. These students definitely have a lot more barriers into getting into university and navigating that whole sense. I come from a low income family, so I definitely experienced those issues firsthand. But I know the student union has been doing a lot of work with getting new scholarships and advocating to provincial and federal government and getting extra funding for these students and extra support. So this is definitely something I would look into advocating more on behalf, and just getting extra funding for these students to make sure that they can access the university facilities they need and everything else they need to make sure that they have the same chances and opportunities as other students at the university.
So as UPI plans to go back to in-person learning this fall, how will you use your role to help students readjust?
I'll use my role definitely. I know another VPSL actually had this part of her platform, and I really love this, and I do not mean to steal this at all, but she mentioned that she mentioned there was a really great idea, and it was to kind of have little workshops leading up to the beginning of school and just kind of explaining how things are going to move forward, especially with like first year students starting in fall, or even the first year, like second year students going in. They're not going to really know much of the university campus and things like that. So just maybe having video content or even workshops and just explaining how the new procedures are going to work and things like that, and just having a lot of information there to make them feel comfortable. Perhaps also integrating these ideas into the NSO program would help a lot, because that kind of builds them up and getting them ready to go back to university as well.
And then another student question. So the president role works closely with the VPACs on advocacy. What experiences do you have that will help with effectively meeting with and advocating to the government?
That's a good question. So as I mentioned previously, I'm currently the president of Enactus UPEI. In this role, I guess I'll explain a little bit more backstory of what Enactus does. So part of our program is to provide environmental education to youth. So I spent a lot of time in the past couple of years meeting with the previous Minister of Education, Brad Trivers, and advocating for change in the grade curriculum on Prince Edward Island to integrate environmental awareness into it, because children are the future leaders of our island and they need to have sustainability and things like that integrated into their brain. So that's some firsthand experience I've had advocating to provincial government. I've also mentioned before, I was on council for the past 2 years. So I have that experience of advocating with students' issues and student voices on the student union level. So I could just take those experiences and transfer them over on the larger scale to government.
Right. And more student questions. So in the past, the president has been seen as taking credit from their VPs at times when it came to media announcements. How are you looking to achieve that balance of giving credit to your VPs?
I love giving credit to people where it's due, for sure. Yeah, and like I mentioned a little bit before, like whenever I plan to speak to media, if I get the role, is to just make sure I have a well-rounded, response from the greater whole, if that's the executives, if that's the staff, if that's the students. I definitely don't want to go into media relations speaking on my behalf and taking credit for things I haven't done. So that's something I'll definitely keep in mind, is making sure I give credit where credit is due, for sure.
Right. And I think we have one last one. So many of your platform points are built of previous initiatives. What initiatives do you plan to take on, if any? What new ones, sorry?
Okay, so one of my platform points is to provide free menstrual products in UPI bathrooms. To my knowledge, this isn't something that's done exactly before. I believe that menstrual products, there's been lots of studies done showing that Canadians have issues affording these things, and I believe these things should be readily available to students or even just the greater community of the province. So I'm going to start with getting those into the bathrooms instead of behind closed doors or behind desks, just in the real place that people need to use them. So that's one thing I believe is a new initiative. As well, another point on my platform is to make executive evaluations public to all. I was actually not aware this is something that has been attempted before until the chair of council, Ashley, reached out to me and let me know that it might not be possible. But I do really believe that this is something important for students to see. Just kind of, their student dollars are going towards the executives. They should know how they're doing in their roles, just kind of from an internal point of view. So that's something I'll definitely look back on. And then also, I know a lot of my platform points have been building off of old points, but I don't want students to get overwhelmed with so many services. So it might be hard for them to navigate these certain things. So that's why I took my idea of, I wanted to include snowshoe rentals ready for students. So I wanted to integrate that into kind of with the bike co-op and rebrand it as the outdoor equipment co-op. And then hopefully this is something that could even be expanded in future years from future presidents. I would love to see this even more expanded and looked back on as well.
And we got a few questions coming in now. So you've been a part of partisan organizations before. How would you ensure that your role as president is nonpartisan?
That's a good question too. Yeah, I have been involved in partisan organizations before. But as soon as I learned that my position was running uncontested, I did resign from those positions. And I believe that my past connections will not play any role into my presidency. Historically, people that are involved in student politics are also involved in municipal and provincial politics. So I know that past presidents have also had previous affiliations, and this did not affect their role at all. They actually did a great job, and I plan to do the exact same, and I don't believe that I'll have any bias in that sense.
And part of your platform is increasing transparency by making executive evaluations public. How would you ensure transparency on behalf of the counselors as well when it comes to the evaluations?
I'm not sure I understand that question. I know you received that from another student.
So more so the end part, so just ensuring transparency on behalf of the counselors as well. when it comes to the evaluations. Perhaps that means making sure that they understand exactly what is said in the evaluations. I'm not sure. If someone wants to send in more clarity, they can do so.
Yeah, I mean, like, council meetings are public to the greater student body, so that is very transparent in that sense. So I want to make, typically when executive evaluations happen, they happen in camera on council, so that's not public. Counselors all sign a confidentiality form that they cannot speak on it afterwards. So my plan is hopefully to make that public, so that would happen during the council meetings, and then students can go back and watch on it. My point also included looking into a way to have the greater student body involved in these evaluations as well. So I would look into creating a system for the students to be involved in that. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I just got some clarity sent in here. So do you think that should change as a part of transparency, having the evaluation submitted anonymously, that in camera, where the counselors are evaluating? Do you think that should change to be more transparent?
Yes, I think.
And I think if there's any more questions, you can send them in now. I was getting a couple as things were happening. So this is final call for questions for the role of president. I'll give a minute. Okay, I got another one. Your platform has more stuff connected toward the university. Is there anything you want to change for students relating to the external aspect or government?
So my first point on my platform is increased advocacy for student issues regarding the pandemic. My idea on that is I know this year the current FEPACs created a survey that got the most responses in UPISU history. So I want to do something like that going forward, because we know COVID's not going to completely go away for a long time. So I just want to get those inputs from there and take those issues addressed and advocate for those issues from the university level, from the municipal level, to the provincial level, even to the federal level, if possible. So that's something I would like to look at externally.
And one last question before we go into closing. How will the president handle conflict?
Handle conflict. That's a very broad question, but I guess my best way to handle conflict, I like to start with listening and getting all the information I need and just sitting and listening, and then apologizing on behalf, if it's on my behalf or others' behalf, and things like that, and then ask for ways it can be fixed, ask for ways it can be worked on, ask for ways that it can be made right.
All right, and now we will go into your 1-minute closing statement.
Awesome, sounds good. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming to this. It's really exciting to see 24 participants on here. I know it's a bit disappointing that it couldn't have been in person, but I'm glad it could still happen this way. If anyone wants to check out my platform, it's on my Facebook page. I put a lot of work into it, and I'm really excited to see it come into play in the next couple months. And if anyone has any feedback or any questions and things like that, I love getting feedback. I love talking about my platform or my ideas or anything like that. So please feel free to reach out to me, email me, anything like that. I'm very open to anything. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. So we will move on to the role of VPACs, Vice President, Academic and External. I haven't gotten to meet all the candidates in person, so this is different. I believe it's pronounced Anaha.
Yeah, hi, it's Annika, but I'm not picky, so it's all good.
Perfect. All right, so we will do the same for you. So you have a minute to have an opening statement.
Perfect, thank you. So I think before I start, it's important that we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory, Abequit, is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this land for 12,000 years, past, present, and future. I would also like to add that I got this land acknowledgement of a presentation that was done by Jeanine Wooldridge, who is the executive director of Alnue. Okay, I'll start now. So hi everyone, my name is Anagha. My pronouns are she, her, and I am running for the position of Vice President, Academic and External. So for the past year, I have been working at the Student Union as the academic coordinator, and I've worked directly with Malak, which is where I get most of my inspiration for, and she is a really huge reason I feel so inspired when I watch her work, which is why I'm running for the position of VPACs, and I'm also really interested in the work that's done here in terms of advocating for student needs at the different levels of government. So yeah, that's mostly why I'm running, and it's also because I've been at UPEI for the past 2.5 years or so, and it's just given me so much, and I've understood that there's so much power in the voices of the students, and to be able to represent the voices of the students would be such an honor and a privilege, which is basically why I'm running for the position of VPACs.
All right, so same as we did with Sam's questions, we're going to start with our questions and then we'll go into student questions. So as VPACs, you will work to maintain relationships with community leaders in municipal, provincial, and federal government. What issues do you consider to be a priority when dealing with each level of government?
Okay, so yeah, so the VPACs basically advocates for student needs at the municipal, the provincial, and the federal levels of government. And at the federal levels, it's usually with our federal partners, which is CASA and CFS. So basically, it largely depends on which level of government can help us with what. For example, if it's an issue with student loans, for example, or extending the moratorium, for example, that could be either at the provincial level when we're looking at provincial student loans, or it could be at the federal level when we're looking at federal student loans. It could also be, for example, COVID support and relief, right? Financial aid for that. So that would usually come from the provincial governments. So basically we would meet with various ministers. It would be, for example, we would definitely be having multiple conversations with the Minister of Education, who's currently Natalie Jameson, and also the MLA for UPEI. We would also be talking to her a lot. So yeah, it basically depends on what topic we're trying to tackle. And for me, my policy priorities would come from the mandate that I'm given if I do get elected. But right now, for me, based on what my platform is, my top 4 priorities are COVID-19 student support, international student support, and Indigenous student support and representation, and of course, continuity based off of what the previous VPACs have done in the past.
All right, so just so you know, I don't know if you can see him on your screen, but where Yaosu is, there will be little reactions coming up, and that's your timing.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Good. I just wanted to let you know because I wasn't sure if it was coming up or not.
I can't get rid of that hand. Okay, it's gone now. All right.
So moving on to the next question, how will you ensure students are advocated for during such a high stress, ever-changing time?
I'm so sorry, you cut out for a second over there. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. How will you ensure that students are advocated for during such a high stress, ever-changing time?
Right, so I think the primary way that we can properly advocate for students is by knowing what they want. And that comes through communication. Now, I know we're a small university, but still a lot of us. So what I want to do is, again, increase the number of surveys, because I feel like we do get a lot of input on what the students want. based off of those surveys. And of course, I also believe that in the past, the VPACs tends to do a lot of the behind the scenes work. So we're not really usually communicating with the students directly, I feel. So I would like to increase two-way communication by, possibly hopping on Instagram Live every now and then, and, just basically talking to the students. And against, in terms of academic grievances, I would also want to do more, I would want to communicate with them more, just through a live or something that's really a quick fix or something of that sort, and just be there to listen to them and make sure that they know that I'm right here for them to talk to.
Right. And it is expensive to be a student. Tuition, fees, textbooks, and household expenses are increasing every year. As VPACs, how do you intend to use your office to advocate for more affordable options for students?
Yeah, so yes, university is really expensive, and I would definitely want to work on the affordability aspect of it. So in terms of fees, it's definitely something we can work with the university and the provincial government on to see how we can make university in general more affordable for students. In terms of textbooks, I'm sure we are all aware that each textbook is like $150, which is over and above the university's cost. So for that, I do want to continue working on OERs, which is Open Educational Resources, which the previous student union, the team already worked on. And it's still in the works, so I would want to continue working on that. As for housing, yes, we are in a housing crisis here in Charlottetown. And I do believe that students were able to receive some kind of rental assistance, but that ended in August. So it was also on the government's platform to include students in the low income group so that they could continue to receive rental assistance, because we are actually a low income group and we should be eligible for it throughout the year. Thus, I would definitely want to work with the provincial government to make sure that students are eligible for rental assistance throughout the year.
All right. And we asked this question to Sam as well regarding COVID. So as UPEI plans to go back to in-person learning this fall, how will you use your role to help students readjust?
So when it comes to helping students readjust, again, it's, I think, through a lot of communication and a lot of workshops that we could host in the future, just to make sure that the students know and can adjust to how things are going to go back to. And also when things go back to in-person, and especially when I'm talking in terms of what the VPAC's role is, I'm sure that even the academic grievance part of the VPAC's role would change. So I would also want to definitely increase two-way communication, as well as hold workshops in which students know that the VPACs, as well as the academic coordinator, is there for them to help, and they have the resources and they have the help that they could possibly require when classes go back to in-person, because when things are in person, the set of appeals that usually students would want to file could change completely from what it is while it's online. So yeah, that's how I would do it.
All right, and we'll go into some student questions. So what's your plan to help support the financial needs of low-income or international students?
Okay, so when talking in terms of international students, I would definitely want to be working with our federal partners to look into including international students and making them eligible to apply for the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, as well as also increasing financial aid when it comes to what international students are eligible for and what domestic students are eligible for. I would want to increase that as well. And also possibly increase the number of scholarships that international students could apply for, because I don't think there's many right now.
All right, and just so everyone knows, this is the time that if you have a question, send it in. We did have one regarding COVID, but it was addressed in the other question. So I'll give it a minute. Last time they came in after a couple seconds. All right, I haven't gotten any, so I'm going to say that that's it. So you can have your 1 minute closing.
Okay, perfect, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who could make it to this debate. I'm really thankful for all the time that you all investing to actually listen to your possibly new student union team. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And I, having worked at the student union for the past year, it's just given me the opportunity to understand the amount of power that our voices have. So it's very, very important to me to be able to give back to the community that we have here at UPEI, just because it's given me so much. And I'm very driven, and I take responsibility very seriously. So I would really be honored if you all choose to elect me as your future VPACs. And again, at the end of the day, I'm so thankful to be here, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So we will now move on to the Vice President Student Life position. I have randomly put an order on this, so it's not in any particular order. We'll just start and then we'll go through each person. This one's a little bit different because there are more candidates. So as we go along, I will actually be asking all of you the question, just one at a time, but we'll go through each question together, if that makes sense. So I will start, and again, it's just a random list, so we're starting with Nathan. So if Nathan would like to give a 1 minute opening statement, we'll begin with that.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Yep, cool. My name is Nathan McClaw, and I am a third-year biology student here at UPEI, and I'm delighted to be a nominee for the VP of ESLA role. Coming to UPEI, I always wanted to make sure that I was immersed in campus and student life. Since coming here to UPEI, I've been involved in residence life as an RLA for 2 years, so I know lots of what students want and how I can make things happen for them. And yeah, that's pretty much it about me.
All right, and then we will go to Mai for a 1 minute opening statement.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Perfect. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Mai Nguyen, and I go with pronouns of she or her. I'm currently a third-year business student at UPEI, specializing in finance with a minor in economics. I am originally from Hanoi, Vietnam, but I moved to the States when I was 13 years old, and then after living there for a couple of years, my family came here to PI, and so I'm here. And after graduating high school, and I decided to stay at UPN, and I think that's one of the best decisions that I have ever made in my life. So from the first day I came to UPI, I have gotten a huge opportunity to meet a lot of amazing people, and it just since then, like with all the stories that I have heard from them and with all the things that I have learned from people, I start falling in love with the campus even more. And after the 2 years of working under various positions within the school, and working closely with some people from the student union in the past. I decided to run for the positions of vice president of student life. And so yeah, I'm really excited to be here today, and hopefully I can secure your vote by the end of today. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will move to Sierra for a 1-minute opening statement.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sierra Labelt. I am a third-year student here at UPEI studying engineering. I grew up on PEI and didn't want to leave home, so I made the obvious choice of coming here, and I'm so glad I did. Last year, I sat on council as the engineering rep, and from there, I just fell in love with the council. I love the opportunities we can create for students. And that's why I want to run for VPSL. I want to have a hand in making what's probably going to be a pretty challenging year as much fun as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And then our final nominee, Jedediah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jedediah Richards. I am a third-year international student with a major in sociology and a minor in Asian studies, and I am running for the VPSL position. My platform focuses on inclusivity and amplifying student voices. And in my opinion, it fits in perfectly with your voice, your union. I didn't plan it that way, but chef's kiss, love it. I want to be as I've said in my platform, like a microphone and amplifying student voices. So I want to listen to what the students want. I don't want to plan things just because I want them, but I want to know what the population is interested and work from there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we will follow that same order as we go through all of the questions. And again, if there's anything that you want to acknowledge from someone else's answer, you can do so. So to begin, again, we will start with Nathan. There are many different kinds of events you will host as VP Student Life. Some will cost the student body a significant amount of money. How will you measure success for your events? So that may be in revenue or attendance. It'll be, how do you measure success?
I would measure success in this terms of if students have a good time and the attendance rate of these events. Revenue is not much of a priority for me. It's about the students and them having a good time at these events.
Right, and we will continue to my same question. How will you measure success for your events?
I think that at this point, actually, I do agree a bit with Nathan. I think definitely we have to measure like how much the student enjoy the events. And at the same time, I think that how meaningful the events are to the students, because if it's not meaningful, then the students would not be interested in coming in. And so those probably the main 2 points that I have to think, like I will focus on with like the events that I will carry out. In terms of revenue, I think that is necessary. We have to care about like the money, like how much money we are going to put into the events, or are we going to turn that events into something that kind of giving a profit. But I think the most important thing is that how people will enjoy it and how the students will that attract the students, or if the part of making profits is kind of preventing students to come, then we have to kind of really think about that and then kind of look into a different ways of making a profit out of it. But yeah.
All right, and same question to Sierra. How will you measure success for your events?
Everything has pretty much been said for this question. Obviously, attendance and sales revenue are a big sign that can be counted. But otherwise, like levels of excitement and enjoyment, you can usually feel that in the air if people are having a good time. But I also want, one of my points was in my platform actually had to do with student feedback. I want to have a open communication with students at all time in forms of either like suggestion or feedback box. And I would love to see students use that as tell me as an opportunity to tell me, hey, I hated that event, or this was great, you know, and that'll definitely give me a good indication of how students are feeling.
All right, and Jedediah, same question. How will you measure success of your events?
Okay, it's gonna sound cliche, but I'll measure the success of my events by smiles and the long-lasting effects it have on the students. Also, as Sierra said, feedback is also one of my main focuses. So I'm very much open to all and every feedback. And still, we want to remain within budget. So I will work actively with the VP of Finance to ensure that the events I'm planning is within budget.
All right, and then we'll go on to the next question. So how will you engage first-year students in student life at UPEI? We will start with Nathan.
How will I engage them? A big part of first year, coming from different parts of the world, leaving home for the first time and not knowing anybody. A thing that I will hope to incorporate in my events is being able to make connections and bonds and friendships, because university journey, you need friends, in my opinion. Like going through this journey in university alone can be tough, but with friends and having connections and networking, it's much easier. So that's how I hope to engage first years in my event. Thank you.
Okay, and same question, how will you engage first-year students in student life?
So I think, first of all, I agree with Nathan's point. Another thing I want to add in, I think I didn't put it into my platform, but it came across my head when this question was asked. I think that we probably should have like a mentor and mentee program kind of thing. I remember the first year when I was in the US, that was something that really helpful for me, because I have kind of like a senior who pair up with like a freshman, and then that helped me a lot like throughout the whole year of like becoming like a first year student, especially international student coming from different countries and they know nothing about Canada and those sort of things. And so it's really helpful to have that kind of guider be there and telling you all these helpful things and how to pass the course and those sort of things at UPI. And other things, we have to kind of creating more open event and in persons. I think throughout the past year, I think it's really challenging to have those sort of activities and events going on because of COVID. But as more as we can have like those interactive events going on, and we kind of attract people in, and kind of sometimes we have to do a little bit of force at the beginning to kind of like get them into the environment. And so I think that like that's something that I want to have if I become like the VPSL. Like I want to make that kind of a little bit of push for them to kind of coming in and then joining into the university life, and then starting from that point.
And the same question to Sierra. How will you engage first-year students in student life?
Yeah, absolutely. Sam sort of mentioned it earlier, but right from the get-go, I want to have a COVID orientation for both returning students and new students. I intend to do 2 separate things just to make sure, you know, some students will not need as much of an introduction as others. Additionally, as with most first year's events, they are usually just in the first month or so of this semester. But I want to make sure this first years have the opportunity to have events for themselves throughout the year, so that they continue to make new friends with these people that are going to be graduating in their year. Additionally, I know that there was talk of increasing the budget, specifically having a line for first year students. And I would definitely be an advocate for that, because I would love to see a good amount of money go into making sure these students feel welcome, and having a great start to their time at UPI.
Right. And same question to Jedediah. How will you engage first year students?
Okay, well, I believe that like we have in the international office, the buddy program, like we can start from there, because it's kind of like, as Mai said, a mentor-mentee program. So the first year students work with the current buddy coordinator to include those international first years, and also in NSO, like from the jump, work with the students who just come in. And also with social media, we should advertise more with social media to bring in people. And yes.
All right, and so then we'll move into student questions. For this one, I will actually reverse the order so that it's fair for everyone. Nathan doesn't have to start every time. So going into the student questions, we will actually start with Jedediah. So we asked the other executive positions, as UPEI plans to go back to in-person learning this fall, how will you use your role to help students readjust? And we will start with Jedediah.
Okay, so I believe that we should still have hybrid activities just so that everybody could get their footings, and also have like ease-in events, and also work with the mental health support, because this COVID thing has taken a toll on everybody's mental health. So actively working with the different communities we already have on campus to help everybody ease back in. Also, we should probably have something prepared for just in case we have to go back on the lockdown, you know? So just that cover all the bases so that we're prepared in every way. Yeah.
All right, and then we will, going backwards, move to Sierra. So how will you use your role to help students readjust?
Awesome. So I'll just mention it again. For the first week or so, or the week before, I want to have either online events and then some in-person events if possible, just to give students an idea of the regulations that UPI is going to be following for COVID. They have announced that we will be hopefully going back in person, and that can be really scary for a lot of people. So I just want to make sure that people have the information so that when they come in, they can kind of know what to expect. Additionally, if we end up having wet dry events or any in-person events, if that's a possibility, I would love to make sure students have all of the information in terms of safety guidelines that we will be following, just to make sure that they feel safe attending all of our events.
Right, and then Mai, how will you use your role to help students readjust?
Yeah, I think Jiraiya and Sierra has already mentioned a lot of points that I was kind of want to cover with. I think just in addition to like all the points that they have mentioned before, I think that having like a list of places that they can go and kind of come to if they need help with anything, kind of like a resources list, and like where, you know, like a lot of people asked me this year like how to join a club and like how to communicate with like a society and those sort of things. Like they don't get the chance to get to know about that a lot, and so I think that that's one of the things that I put in my platform as well. Like I want to kind of create like a common and simple platform where people can go there and they can see all the updates and communications that people put out there, and so I think that is something that I want to do as well. So then people know that there's the place where they can come for help. There's a place where they can find resources if they need to. And all these list of society and clubs or faculties or people that they can come if they want to join in any clubs and society within our campus. And so that's something else that I want to add in for this question.
Yeah, and Nathan, same question. How will you use your role to help students readjust?
Well, I definitely agree with Jedediah in terms of still having hybrid events to ease people into actually coming to events and versus like online events. Also, another thing to add is communication with my role. Just reaching out to students to make sure that they are okay. Just making posts on social media, reaching out to them, making sure that knowing that they're okay, because some people still have a fear that COVID is still there, even though like things are changing. People still fear that, oh, they might catch COVID. So just reaching out to them, making sure that they are okay and everything will be all right. Thank you.
And we have another student question. So again, starting with Jedediah, how will events be made more available to vet students in the coming year?
Okay, so again, with inclusivity, I did not realize that the vet students weren't able to or did not know about the event happening. So then again, I will work closely with like social media platforms, and I know like we have different Facebook groups, so like post in there, and we could even have things like a day in the life of except like different heads, like a day in the life of a vet student, and we could like incorporate more, I guess, animal friendly activities. Yes.
And Sierra, same question. How will events be made more available to vet students?
Absolutely. I know the vet students are on a different schedule than the average UPI student. So I would want to keep a close tab, close conversation running, just to make sure that we can make events that they'll be able to make, because they usually have a pretty hectic days. Additionally, I would like to see a budget line added for just vet students. I think it could be definitely very beneficial, seeing as they are underrepresented usually in the events. I think it is worth looking into at least.
Okay, and my same question, how will events be made more available to vet students?
So yeah, I do realize that like, you know, vet students are in like a completely different buildings. Well, I know we all have different buildings for different faculties, but like they have a huge societies over there. And I remember one day when I walked into that building and I saw the society executive board, I know they like a small kind of student union within themselves. And so I think like in order to have events and include all the vet students in, I think first of all, we will work closely with the people in their society, like the executive members in the society. And for me, I don't want to just create events that for the vet students. I want to have the collaborations going on, just so, you know, like we always have the thing where like only vet students know vet students, and like business students know business students, and art students know only art students. And I don't want to have that. I have so many friends from like biologies or art and music, and I want everybody who come into UPI have that same kind of environment to live in. Like they know many people, not like outside of their faculties. So then they get the chance to meet many people from different backgrounds. They get the chance to learn about their life and their stories. And so I want to have that collaborations between different society and faculties, not just only for vet students, but definitely like we have to look into their schedules. So that's why I say like work closely with the executive from the vet society in order to figure out like the best hub where we can have that events or activities going on for those clubs and societies or like within the campus. So yeah.
And same question to Nathan, how will events be made more available to vet students?
Like Sierra said, vet students, as an aspiring vet, I know that you're really on a tight timeline with being in vet school. You take like about 6 to 8 classes a semester, so they are very busy. So how do I plan to make it more accessible to vet students is looking at their schedule planning events around that and making sure that they can attend. Not only that, maybe they may be available to attend some of the events that we may have, but they might not know about it. Just advertise, making sure that they know about it, because advertising is a big thing. If you don't know about it, you can't come. Another thing also is, I guess, making sure that we know that us as the VP of SL, the guys, you know, that we're here for them. Maybe having like little things to show, like we have them like free coffee at the Fox and Crow or what's not. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And then we have another student question. What will you do to improve clubs and societies? So we will start with Jedediah.
Okay. I would work more closely with the coordinator, the club and societies coordinator. And also I have this idea to have like a club of the month type of event. So that's also one. And like making sure incorporating different things to make the clubs a more, how to say, like having the clubs work with each other, if that makes sense.
All right, and then we will go to Sierra with the same question. So how will you, or what will you do to improve clubs and societies?
For sure. I know the last few years they've been working really hard to improve it and make it really run really smoothly. So I don't intend to change a whole lot. One thing I've heard from a few club executives is that there are too many meetings. So I would like to maybe choose quality over quantity in that regard. But yeah, that's probably about it.
Okay, and my same question, what will you do to improve clubs and societies?
So I am actually a president of the Circle K Club at UPI, and so I understand the difficulties that all the clubs and society are going through, especially over the past year. And I think for these questions, I think that I want to work closely with the VP Finance. I think in order to run a club and a society, we need, the most important thing is we need the finance, like a stable finance, and how, you know, like how to create different events or activities going on. They all need like money to do it, right? And so I have to work closely with the VP Finance in order to give out like the best support of finance for the clubs and society when they need. And also for like the meetings, as Sierra mentioned about, like we do have a lot of meetings to attend over the semesters. And so I think that we also have to cut down some of them a bit, just choose like the most important one that we think that the clubs needs or the people needs, and then we will carry it out and then make sure that we be there whenever they have struggled with any things that's going on within their clubs and their society.
Thank you. And Nathan, same question. What will you do to improve clubs and societies?
I definitely think that clubs and society are a vital component of the university experience. Who doesn't want to be a part of something and feel like they belong, you know, meet people with common interests. So what I hope to do to make the experience better is make clubs and societies more known about. Talking to some students, they'd be like, I don't know about clubs, you know? So I just want to make it more known that we have lots of clubs and ways that you can create clubs as well. As one of my main points, I hope to have Club Week, where clubs will showcase what they are about, and other students can come and talk to the current club members and current club executives and see what they're getting themselves into. Also, like I said, Club of the Month. This way, clubs can, just give me a second, getting Mr. thought together. Clubs can, you know, want to do better and also attract other individuals, because say that, let's say the Prevent Club, they win Club of the Month, other students who might be interested in, you know, vetting and stuff, they want to be a part of that. So just boosting club morale and attracting people. Another thing that I wanted to do to help increase club and societies is a survey. Surveys are an excellent way to know what students want. So creating a survey where students can answer questions and say what they're interested in, and with the answers, they can be matched with certain clubs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So that was the last question I have currently. So I'm going to go into the closing remarks, and I'll switch up the order for this one too. So I'll start with Mai. You have a 1-minute closing.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here today and giving your time in order to come and hear us to talk. And I just want to say that, you know, for the past few years that I've been here at UPI, I have seen this community grow so much, and have met a lot of amazing people, as I said before. I really just want to use my experience as I have been working and I gained over the past few years when I work at UPI for different positions, and I just want to use them to kind of continue and give back to this community, and hopefully it will grow even better in the future. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. And I will go to Jedediah for your 1-minute closing.
Okay, in accordance with everybody else, thank you everybody for being here. I believe in giving people their flowers while they can still receive it. So I would like to say that the present and past SU and the council, everybody, they've done a fantastic job, especially given the situation we're now in. And I'm willing to continue to build on the present foundation. I believe that I am the woman for the job, and I want to represent you in the SU. And win, lose, or draw, I had a fantastic run and I had fun. And I leave you with love, light, and laughter. Mic drop.
Thank you. And we will go to Nathan for your 1-minute closing.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. And I'm so glad that you nominated me to be a candidate for the VP Vessel. I understand that this year that we've had has been so unpredictable and uncertain. And I hope that if elected as your VP Vessel, I will bring more life and love to you guys. But more than anything, if elected as VP Vessel, I want to give you, the students, a voice. And, you know, I'm not afraid of a fight. So if you want something done, you know, I'll see what I can do, and you see if we can make it happen. Thank you, and vote March 9th and 10th.
Thank you. And Sierra, your 1-minute closing.
Awesome. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts and to answer some of you guys' questions. I really hope you guys are excited about what I had to say. I know I'm excited to have the opportunity to represent you and have a lot of fun this year. So I hope you vote for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for coming out, and thank you to all of the candidates for coming here and letting everyone know about you and your platform and what you plan to do. That is all that we have for this evening. These debates, everything will be posted on Facebook. It has been recorded, so you can go back, you can share it. And then everyone can see it who was not able to come tonight. So thank you again, everyone, for coming out.
Thank you, Sam.